I think the most important thing to know, honestly, is twofold. Number one is you need to understand, your listeners need to understand that number one, Congress wants you to diversify. If they did not want you to buy real estate or do alternative assets, they could have easily limited it to just like a 529 plan, a college savings plan. You cannot do alts in it. You could in a Coverdale, not in a 529.
And when you say
So
alts, you mean alternative investments, and that means not like publicly traded stock is considered alternative,
correct.
right?
Yes, Jason. Everything that's not publicly traded is considered an alternative, whether it's a private equity interest, venture capital, real estate, gold, even Bitcoin, even though it's technically publicly traded, it's
Well,
not a
now it
traditional
is, but it
security.
wasn't. It wasn't before. And folks,
Correct.
I gotta just comment on that for everybody. That's such a scam. The fact that they call all of these investments that are, like real estate, rental properties, which are that's I argue the best investment class in the entire world.
Yes. Same.
The fact that they
Same.
call that alternative shows you that Wall Street runs the world.
Yes, they do. They do.
I mean, what is alternative about buying rental properties? Like that's some little weird thing that people would do, right?
So So Jason, you got it. They're trying to scare people. Why?
Yeah,
Because the traditional financial institutions, when IRAs were created in 1974 under ERISA, they could easily have allowed all of us to buy real estate, to buy gold, to do private
yeah,
equity, venture capital, whatever they wanted. They chose not to purposely. Why? Simple, dollars and cents. They make money when you buy stocks, you buy
right.
products, mutual funds, ETFs they sell, and when you pay them for their investment advice. They do not make money when you pull the money out and buy a house in Texas.
Yeah.
So they claim, it's alternative. They scare people into not wanting to do it. They claim it's very tricky and hard, and it's totally untrue. And thankfully, over the last 10 years or so, more and more people are looking at real estate and other investments as not just an alternative asset, but really as a primary source of generating wealth.
Yeah, very interesting. I know. It's just the way they name things to try and kind of discourage people from doing it. They want you buying,
Purposeful.
S&P stocks, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
it's
So
purposeful.
let's talk about different companies for a moment and what they offer. There are many self-directed IRA companies out there. What should someone look for, Adam, when they're investing? Well, when they're
Yeah,
investing, but they're having to
yeah,
choose a self-directed IRA company to, sort
yeah.
of manage the plan, if you will.
Right. So obviously I'm biased, but this is what I would do. First of all, I would want to work with a company that had flat fees. Okay. Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of different companies in the space. They're going to charge you asset valuation fees, like 1% of all your assets, which is crazy because this is a
That could get
self-directed
really
account.
expensive if you've got a big
That
account.
could. And guess who's doing all the work? You are, right? You're
Yeah.
picking the investment. You're saying buy property A, buy real estate fund B. So why should you pay me for making wise investment decisions? That number one makes no sense. So fees matter. There's a lot of leakage, a lot of ways to reduce the value of your retirement account, and that's through fees. So number one, I'd look out for that. Number two is expertise, right? Like for example, there are a number of companies in the space, and we talked about this, Jason, offline. Is like they won't let you do what's called checkbook control. What's checkbook control? It's a structure that's been legally codified since 1996 by Swanson v. Commissioner and 2001 by a field service advisory opinion. Basically, it's creating a vehicle like an LLC that's wholly owned by your IRA, managed by you, and then gives you limited liability protection, gives you what's called checkbook control or freedom to just make investments on your own, like writing a check to a plumber, instead of having to go through me, the custodian, which takes time and costly. So we've been doing that for 15 years. A lot of companies still are like, no, it's too risky, you can't do it. And that's just a fee grab. It's just there to limit your ability to have some control. So you have to go through the custodians, a conduit, and then they can charge you for every transaction you do. So
Mhm.
that's number two. Make sure you're working with a self-directed IRA custodian that has the expertise and it's willing to give you all available options. And then thirdly, I think continued consulting services, tax services. So IRA Financial, we feel strongly that we don't want to just set up your IRA and send you on your way. We want to build a relationship with you that's going to last many, many years. So we offer annual consulting services, annual tax filing and tax reporting services. So we do everything for you, and all you need to do is worry about your investment. We handle all IRS, tax filing, state, federal, whatever relates to the investment, we'll handle.
What are the fees?
We have a flat fee of just under $500 a year, flat, irrespective. So if you have $50 million, you're going to pay $500. We have some reduced fees if you have
So
less than
even Peter
50K.
Thiel, if Peter Thiel was your client,
Yes,
it'd be 500
yes.
bucks.
$500. Why? Because Peter
Wow.
Thiel, right? Peter Thiel's doing all the work, right?
Yeah.
It's one
Right.
thing if I was giving Peter Thiel investment advice, then
Yeah.
yes, I probably should benefit from the investment outcome. But here,
Mhm.
Peter Thiel's the brilliant guy, or Jason's the brilliant
Yeah.
guy, or Adam's the brilliant guy. Why should I charge you more because you're smart?
Yeah.
I don't, it's unethical. So we feel very strongly about giving everyone great service at the same price.
Yeah. Okay. How about other fees? I mean, there's always these little nickel and dime fees, right? Are there any of those we should expect?
Nah, no, we don't charge for research. There's some wire fees that the bank charges. We use Capital One or UBS, so there are some wire fees and stuff that we have to charge. But otherwise, no, there's no other fees. There's consulting services, which is generally around $300 a year. It's generally something the clients opt into. We don't force it upon anyone, but it gives them access to all our tax professionals, lawyers, accountants, and also the ability for us to do tax filings and reportings. And probably 95% of our clients do it because it's so inexpensive.
And clients would set up an LLC and then have checkbook control of that LLC where they can pay the bills directly. So, unlike some of the other companies, which you alluded to before, you don't have to pay fees to pay a bill, right?
Yeah, let's do a quick example, Jason. So I have 200 grand. I want to buy, I don't know, an apartment in Florida, and I have two choices. I can set up a self-directed IRA with IRA Financial, send the 200 grand IRA Financial. IRA Financial will wire the money to the seller. Title will be IRA Financial Trust for the benefit of Adam's IRA. The second way is I set up an LLC. I call it, ABC LLC in Florida. IRA Financial does it all. We do the operating agreement, the tax ID number. You get a local bank account for the LLC, or you can use Capital One through our relationship with them. We can do it for you. You wire the 200 grand to IRA Financial. IRA Financial sends the 200 grand to the LLC. You manage the LLC. You're the manager. The owner is the IRA. And since an LLC is a disregarded entity, it means it doesn't pay tax. There's no entity level tax. So all the income and gains will flow from the real estate all the way to the IRA, but the LLC will give you checkbook control because you can write a check to Joe the plumber. You also get limited liability protection.
Joe the plumber, by the way, has been on my show. Just
I love Joe the
that's funny.
plumber. So
That's
that's hilarious.
Joe the plumber is a real person. He's the guy
Yeah,
that said to Obama during the 2008
exactly.
campaign, you're going to redistribute my wealth. And
Exactly. So
yeah,
I like Joe the plumber. So
yeah,
that's funny. That's hilarious. And then ultimately, the limited liability protection shield protects all your assets outside the IRA. Plus, you get a little bit of privacy. It's hard for people to know, creditors to know who owns that asset. And it just makes things faster and easier for you. So that's what the Checkbook Control LLC special purpose vehicle does. And, we basically wrote the book on it.